Does that sound a little bit better right now?
Yeah.
Okay. And my other mic for Discord was actually turned backwards. So now it should be a little bit better.
Alright.
And also, if you want to turn it up even more, you can just right click my name in Discord, and you can ramp the volume up even more to like, there's like a volume meter. You can turn it all the way up to 200% if you want to.
No, it's good now. So
Okay. So how you doing, man?
good. You?
Yeah, I'm good, dude. Looking forward to giving you some coaching. Um,
Yeah.
what's
I need it.
what's your situation? What league are you? What are you looking to do today?
So recently got back into the game after failing miserably for 8 years in a row. Um, Happened to find your bronze GM on YouTube and started going up. And right now, gold 2. Trying to get better. Just seeing what I can do.
Nice. And you're a Zerg player?
Yes.
Okay. Nice, man. Do you have replays on hand that you want to take a look at?
Yeah, I have actually one I just did.
Okay.
It's ZvT.
Nice. Are you in the like the group chat, the ViBE group chat, or you're on US West, right? On
No.
North. Are you in North America at least?
Yeah.
Uh,
I
okay.
think I'm on the central server.
Okay. You can add me if you'd like. My name is one Vibe with a little pound sign 1578. Um, and then let me know what your name is in game because I have a fuckload of friend requests right now, so I don't know which one
Okay.
it'll be.
Let's see here. Let's see. Add friend.
I'll write it in Discord too, just so they don't have to memorize it. Okay. I just got a new friend request. If that was you, what's your what?
It should be safety
Okay, I
scissors.
see you. All right, sick.
Weird spelling.
Okay, so now you can just create the replay, but when you do it, just do watch with others, and then
Okay.
before you start the game, give me the lobby host,
Okay.
and then we're good to go.
Um,
All right.
all right.
So before we really jump into this, I guess, what kind of styles are you kind of prone to do? What kind of stuff you like doing?
I'm just trying to get your build down.
Okay.
Um,
And you're doing B to GM then?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get to that diamond level.
All right. Sounds good. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. I just like restarted it. Okay, there we go. We'll take a look at your efficiency and all that stuff.
Okay.
One of the biggest things that we're gonna definitely probably talk about a lot here is gonna be larva efficiency.
Okay.
So far, you've actually done a great job. A lot of people, I'm not gonna lie, like let their money stack up within the first like 20, 30 seconds really hard. Just like they'll be like 150 minerals and they'll finally spin a larva.
Okay.
So far so good. Um,
One thing I know where I differ is I started taking the hatchet 16. I just got tired of Protoss blocking me all the time.
you should take a
so-
hatchet 16. You should.
Okay.
So that's perfect. Yeah, your timing of also when you sent your drone out was great. Up to this point, you've done a good job.
Okay.
The only thing I would say, I'm gonna pause it. There's only one thing I would say you could do better than what you've already done, which is you notice you have 4 close patches on every base. You have 4 far patches on every base in terms of minerals.
Yeah.
The close patches, if you click on them, the close patches always have more. They have double what the far patches have. So
Okay.
the goal is every single large mineral patch, which is close, you want to make sure you have 2 drones on it at all times, as fast as possible. Like you want to make your first 12 drones, like stack on those if you can.
Okay.
Like when you have like a moment to spare where you just made a drone and you're just watching your minerals, just try to stack the close ones at that point. Um,
Okay.
it'll definitely it'll increase things like how fast you can take your natural by if you, like maybe like a second, or your
Okay.
spawning pool. It'll just ramp up your whole build because it increases your income a little bit, and the earlier you can increase your income, the more important it is because it sets the pace for everything after that really hard.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, and I see you have 3 out of 4 close patches with 2 drones on them. So only the very top one is not saturated properly.
Okay. That I know was just random. Like I didn't
Yeah,
see
exactly.
that.
Most of the time, people just let their drones do whatever they're gonna do, and sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay.
Really just depends on AI, but you can always fix it yourself, especially right now when you're not really doing anything.
Okay.
Pool timing is fine. Uh, So yeah. Oh, again, right now, not bad. It's things are going all right. You're never really letting yourself larva cap,
Okay.
which is very important. I imagine you're going to be taking a gas here in a second, which is like 50% pool completion is perfect time to take a gas. So like right now would be the perfect time
Yeah,
to
I
take the
think
gas.
it's really close. Yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
that's good enough. It's all good. But yeah, like for this, I'm gonna say with this build, all I really want to see is just constant drones being pumped nonstop,
Okay.
and we'll see if you do that. And then for what you scout, especially if we're talking like Gold League, all you really need to know is this guy going for a natural or not? And
Okay.
so far you've seen a Reaper, so a Reaper will be annoying. And now I'm gonna pause it actually and just say this: I do want to see you only make drones,
Okay.
unless your Overlord spots something running out of his base, like for instance a Reaper, or if it was Protoss,
Okay.
like an Adept. And then it wouldn't even be a lot of lings. It would just be like 4. Just like 4
Okay.
lings, and you would just sit there and you're natural with them, or your main, wherever the Reaper goes, and you would just push it away. And you don't have to chase it, you just sit on your creep.
Okay. So I know I haven't been doing that. So I can definitely
Yeah.
anytime I see anything, just for
So like right now when you're in Gold League, I would say half your opponents, or maybe even more than half your opponents, are not going to build harass units. But when you get higher and higher, like if you start playing in like Diamond League, almost every single person you play against is going to make an Adept or a Reaper to harass you
okay.
with, because it's also going to be a scout for them. So it wouldn't be the worst idea for you to just, when your pool's done, make 2 larvae into Zerglings and just sit them there to guard your
Okay.
drones before your queens are done. Because then what these things can do is you can use them as follow-ups, like you can use them as drone coverage while your queens are missing. But then once your queens are out, you can use them as scouts too, and you can run around the map, like to go sit at like the Terran's third base or both potential third bases, and then you could just leave
Okay.
him there. So you could be like, is he ever going to expand, or when's it happening? And you could maybe use one of them to like poke into his wall, see what he's making. Maybe it's a bunch of bio, maybe it's a bunch of Hellions, maybe it's a siege tank, stuff like that. So yeah, anyways,
Okay.
four lings after the pool's done it would be a good idea, because it would deal with what this guy's about to do to you really well. And then just master drones.
Okay. Yeah.
Because if you lose even 1 drone, it's already like inefficient in terms of like you would have just been better off having lings.
Okay. I think I lose 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I know I don't really respond to it. Because you think I remember hearing you say just don't respond, just keep droning.
No. Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't want you to over micro.
Okay.
I don't like. Here's the thing, I would rather you spend 4 larvae in the time that this Reaper is like attacking your base, than micro 2 drones and then save 2 drones. But then at the same time you didn't spend any of your larvae, and maybe now you're about to larva cap because more larvae is about to spawn, or something
Okay.
like that. Like I don't want you just to completely neglect your macro while something's attacking you, which is why I think it would actually be a great idea if you just make like the 4 lings and you just literally A move the Reaper if he's on your creep, and then as soon as he runs away from your creep, you can grab the lings and be like, nope, come back, and then just sit there again.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Because yeah, the way this went, if you had 4 lings and you push the Reaper away, I like that it's nice that you didn't lose any mining time, but you did lose 1 drone, so it's not the worst. But
Okay.
oh, you might even lose a 2nd drone. So yeah, like you did lose 2 drones. It's not the worst, but it definitely 4 links would definitely save you a lot more from not having to deal with that crap anymore.
No. Okay. I can definitely add that.
Because this just to throw this out there, this is like the trade-off. You didn't really stop macroing while that was happening, so that's not a difference. You would have macroed either way. You didn't really pull your drones around either, so that's not a difference either. Whether you would have made lings or drones like you did, you would have had the same amount of mining, pretty much.
Okay.
I think you might really only got like maybe 1 or 2 extra trips from the drones before they died because you made the drones instead of lings. So it's like 5 or 10
Okay.
more minerals, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But realistically, what actually is happening now though is you're at the same result if you would have made lings or drones, pretty much. But now you don't have any lings to run around the map with. So it just all it really the only real difference at the end of the day here is you just have lack of scouting compared to what you could have had otherwise.
Okay.
But it would have resulted in the same thing of 2 drones either dying or 2 drones being sacrificed for lings instead.
Okay. That makes sense.
I know I did tell a lot of people though, just make drone, and bronze GM. But yeah, you will eventually start running into players that will always open Reaper.
I also don't think this guy was gold.
Sure.
So I know he paced me on workers throughout the game. So
Yeah.
but neither here nor there.
Sure. So I'm gonna actually back it up. I didn't really pay attention to your building times. I want to make sure you're not messing this up. Okay, so now you did mess up a little bit here, I would say. When
Okay.
it was with the Reaper, and it was the inject. You missed the like you injected the main. Let's see it. You injected the main right now, which is nice. You're only 4 energy above what it would have taken, which means it's only a couple seconds late. It's not that bad right now. But your queen at your natural is dealing with the Reaper, which I understand. Like you're trying to get the hell out of there. But I would say an inject is still priority here. Like if you really wanted to, you could just click that drone that's about to die and make a spore crawler with it, and then if that would save it, and then make inject as fast as possible in your hatchery. Because notice how you'll chase the Reaper here. And we're skipping the inject, and then that larva is your biggest resource of all. So missing out on a lot of it here is a humongous deal for you.
Okay. So the 15-20 seconds is bad.
Yeah, it's huge. Like you're actually about to miss a full inject because you're almost at 50 energy now, and you'll never get that back. Like it's just time you don't get back at that point. And then another thing too is always, I would say, start a 3rd queen off of like your natural, and then start your layer off of your main when your first 2 queens spawn. So, and then that would actually take precedent over making the Roach Warren and Evo Chamber as fast as you did. You still make you're still going to make these buildings relatively early, but queen and layer take priority over that.
Okay.
And now you can see your queen's at 50 energy, and now you injected. So you've just pretty much just missed a full inject.
Okay.
But your queen and your main is good though. Your queen and your main is solid. And then when you have about like 12 drones in your also here's another thing too. I'll just finish what I was gonna say, then I'll say the other thing. When you have about like right about now, I would say, when your drone count is going to be roughly like 12, and then you're still making more drones. This is roughly around the time when you want to throw down both gases at your natural, because it'll time out well, where your natural will be fully saturated as even more drones are spawning, and then the gases will finish, and you can saturate the gases with minorly disrupting your natural minerals, or not at all, and you can just make new drones to fill it in.
Okay, so 12 drones gas.
Yeah, 12 on natural. Just make gas at your natural, both of them.
Okay.
And then I like that you went for range weapons before speed. It's important because that upgrade is way longer. Then you'll obviously take speed when your layer's done on your roaches. The other thing though about when your 3rd queen spawns, do not stack injects on your hatchery because one queen's more than enough. You should really go for a creep tumor going towards your 3rd base, like from your the edge of your creep at your natural going down to the 3rd, so that you can you can quickly and efficiently cover your bases with your queens if for whatever reason you need to do that, and also your roaches will be more mobile, and it'll just give you more vision. It's just more of a safety net, and it also starts your creep spread a lot faster, which is really important. It's something you'll need to work on over time.
Yeah, I think that was actually a misclick because usually I do that.
Okay.
So
nice.
I think that was a box and click.
Sure. Oh man, you got a drone in the door.
Too.
Yeah. Alright, then you take your third. You're starting your roaches. Nice. Okay, we're gonna slow it down again a little bit. At this point now, I would say this, okay? This is something I'm just gonna throw out there. Just in general, to save your ass from frustration.
Okay.
If you do not see a Terran player making mass bio, okay? Like if you're not seeing just like medevacs being produced with just Marines, it doesn't matter if there's tanks or not, but if there's medevacs and Marines, I would say you don't need to worry about spore crawlers because you know that his starport is busy building medevacs, which is fine.
Okay.
But if you ever see someone who does not open bio, and you've seen what he's been doing with your overlord, you saw that he was going Hellions and stuff. If you ever see someone,
I actually didn't look at it.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. I'll have to remember to start doing that.
I'll just say this then. This is another way we can word it, which will make it like a fail-safe. If you either don't know what he's doing, or if you do know he's going for a Hellion opener, like lots and lots of Hellions, at 5 minutes, if you have not seen an air unit yet, make blind spores. Make one blind spore in every one of your mineral lines, which will be 3 of them.
Okay.
And like if your third base is not done yet, which it's not, you can build a spore crawler at the edge of the creep near the third right now. And then when the third is actually done, you can just uproot it and move it into the mineral line and you're fine.
Okay.
And the reason why this is because if a Terran player ever goes Hellion style, you got to keep in mind there is a very high chance they are still going to make a starport with this. And they're not going to make, a lot of times if you're going Hellions, you're not going to be making mass medevacs. You might make one for a Hellion drop, but that's about it. And then it's going to either be Liberators, it's going to be Banshees, it's going to be Battlecruisers. It's going to be something like that. And if you don't have any spores, especially if it's BCs or Banshees, it's going to fuck you up pretty bad. Like it's going to do some massive damage to you. So
I know it. They hit me pretty hard on this one.
yeah, I'm already predicting that's what's going to happen. Because I can clearly see the BC, but I'll be in the production tab. But even if I didn't even see that BC, I would assume there's going to be something in the air coming because he's going Hellions and not Marines and medevacs.
Okay. So Hellions equals air.
Yeah, Hellions equals it's going to be hybrid. He's going to make something out of the starport that's going to not be medevacs really. The only time this can maybe not actually make sense, where it's like they're going Hellions but they're actually not making air units, is when a Terran player goes for 2 to 3 factories right away after the barracks and they go for Hellion Cyclone Mass. Is the only time that means that might be either really delayed air or no air at all for a while.
Okay.
But I really highly doubt you're going to be playing people who go Hellion Cyclone like that at, and below Masters League. That's a very high level style.
Well, I mean, they can go it. I'll just hopefully just out macro them.
Sure, exactly. Like it's just a style that requires lots of multitasking from the Terran's part. So most people won't do it, I feel like, unless they're higher. Yo, Rahima, thank you for the 22 months. Baby, I love you. Welcome back. And then now we have, you have 10 roaches, 5 more on the way. You're going at 15 in total. That is totally fine. I don't mind that. And then you're going back to droning. I really like that a lot. These Hellions are getting completely dumpstered. And now this is like that perfect time where even right now, I would say you definitely need spores. If you're like, oh shit, I still haven't made them. Like 5 minutes is the key here. But if you still haven't made them now and you're like, oh, you just made Hellions, that's definitely like, okay, be careful. Like your Overlord got killed by a Viking, and then for the information we know so far is Overlord got killed by Viking, and Hellions just dove your base, which they all died for it. But right now, this is like the perfect thing to do, okay? If this dude were to attack you with an air unit, let's just say he teleports a BC into your base, which is very possibly about to happen. The perfect response to this would be Roach counterattack his base. You could literally do the shift A move thing that I showed you guys all over Bronze GM. And then, sorry. Excuse me. And then after you do that, don't even disregard the roaches. They're just going to do their thing. Whatever happens, happens. And you just focus on keeping your injects going, because that is prime importance right now, and you can see your injects are kind of falling back again. Like you have all 3 of your bases are not currently being injected, and you have 2 stacked up injects on both your queen and your main and your natural, and your 3rd queen is, you know, it has 1 pretty much, a little bit over 1, but there are missing injects happening right now, and I feel like if he teleports a BC in your base, this might go even further with that.
Okay.
That's something we'll definitely talk about in a second here if that happens. But it would just be more or less like, okay, well, let's say BC teleports in your base. The prime reaction is Roaches A move around his base. You immediately make more queens. You immediately run drones away from wherever the BC currently is because you don't have coverage. You make spores, and then you grab your queens that you have already, and you try to, like, deal with the BC. But you inject first before you move them. Injecting first is of supreme, massive importance.
Okay.
Larva is a very valuable resource that needs to always be nurtured for Zerg. There you go. There's the BC. It teleports in your base. Let's see. You inject the main. Natural 3rd. Do not get injected. You are roach attacking him right now, which is good. Drones need to be pulled, though. Against, like, a BC, you definitely want to pull your drones.
Okay.
I would say, like, early on, maybe not as important, but, like, right now, yeah, this is, that was a lot of drone death that could have been avoided.
Yeah, he's screwing them up.
Yeah, like, and it's something like this, too. If you're worried about, like, oh, well, I'll forget to pull them back, you could do something as simple as this. You could green box your mineral line at your main, and then you could start a spore, make your queens attack it or whatever. But when you green box your drones in your main, you could literally right-click a mineral patch at your natural, and then hold shift while still selecting your drones, and then right-click a mineral patch in your main. And what will happen is it'll make your drones mine 1 patch out of your natural, and then they'll come back to the main, and then return it into the main and start mining from the main again. And that'll buy you about 30 seconds for your drones to get the fuck out of there and then come back. So then, and it's like, it fixes itself. It's a problem where you make them stop mining, but then they restart mining themselves. And in that 30-second window of time, that can create an opening for you to make spores and get your queens situated to move the BC around in a comfortable position for you or something like that.
Okay.
It's just like minimal APM with maximum returns there for the idea that you're going for. But again, also the other thing too is I would say you don't need to pull your drones if you did have a spore already and queens there.
Okay.
Then that's not that big of a deal, because if he commits the BC there, he'll maybe kill like 4 or 5 drones, and suddenly the BC's dead.
Okay.
Because look how fast this BC's dying.
So the 5-minute spore could have prevented a lot of this.
Yep. A 5-minute spore could have made this do almost nothing.
Okay.
And then those depots are definitely kind of screwing your roaches up. But I don't care. This is fine. This is Gold League. This is something you shouldn't be worried about. What you should be worried about is macroing, and that's exactly what you're kind of going for here. You did take a massive hit, though, to that BC. You lost 16 drones.
Yeah.
But, or you lost 14 because 2 died to the Reaper earlier. But, yeah, I do like your goal, though, which is to just keep macroing behind this. And I would love it right now once you have a 3rd that is mostly saturated. Like, we're talking, once your 3rd base, again, 12 is like another magic number here. Once your 3rd base gets to like 12 drones on the mineral line, start a 4th base. Because that's going to allow you to do something like, oh, Terran just lost a BC, and he has no way to really attack me right now, like that much. I'm just going to take my 4th, I'm going to have the ability then to saturate my 4th base because I started it at like 12 on the 3rd.
Okay.
And then you can see a Banshee setting your natural now. So once you know he's committed to having the possibility of air, spore every base. Don't just do 1 base.
Okay.
Definitely do all bases. And then if you were to take a 4th base at 12 drones on the 3rd, the second it's done, spore that shit as well. 1 spore in the mineral line.
Okay.
So spore every base as soon as you know he has the ability to have air units. Yo, Knack McFeagle, thank you for the 21 months as well. Welcome back, baby. And then yeah, the drone count is definitely suffering, not because of your, like, a little bit because of your macro, but it's mostly because of your like, once again, it's happening at the 3rd now, or it could happen at the 3rd. Just too many drones dying. I mean, you are killing his units, which is great, but if you had spores here, these units would be dying without killing much at all.
Okay.
And then now, at this stage, okay, again, I would love to see, and the reason why I would say this is because he keeps losing his units when he's harassing you. I would love to see a little bit of information as to how many bases he has.
Okay.
And again, this comes from, like, for instance, those 4 lings earlier. You could have had a ling at his 3rd, had a ling at his 4th, stuff like that. You could be like, okay, this Terran's going on 3 bases. Or when you start making Hydras, just make like 1 Overseer and periodically shit out a Changeling and then shift move it around his new expansions that could be there. The reason why you want to do this periodically is just you want to know how many bases he's on. Because if you knew, okay, this Terran's on 3 bases and he keeps losing his harass units because he lets them die over and over. Sure, he might kill like 4 drones if you have a spore there, or 2 drones or something. He'll kill definitely less than if you don't have a spore. But let's just pretend you did have spores and he kept losing the units because he overcommitted. And you go, oh, he's on 3 bases. That would guarantee to tell you I'm safe to saturate 4 bases as fast as possible. And then there's nothing really stopping you from doing that, because if he's going that heavily into economy that fast, and he's also throwing away his harass units because he keeps letting them die, there's nothing he can kill you with at that stage. And then that would mean if you saturated a 4th base, and we're talking like you got up to like 80 drones quickly, you could actually, and just throwing this out there, and I know you're Gold League, so I'm not expecting this, but this is something you can strive for. You could have found out that he had a 3rd quite a bit sooner. Like, we can actually back this bad boy up to see exactly when he takes it. And you could have maxed out at 9 minutes with Roach Hydra. So we're still going back further. Look how early he takes the 3rd, though. This kind of information would be huge for you. He takes the 3rd before he even attacks you with BCs.
Okay.
We're still... Okay, so he took the 3rd roughly around 5 minutes. Like 4:50. And you would have saw that a long time ago. He took the 3rd before you even killed his roaches, or sorry, before your roaches killed his Hellions, and before the BC even came to your base. And if he were to have thrown away all of his Hellions and the BC, and you see he's going for a 3rd like that, that would be like the cue to be like, take a 4th immediately and drone the shit out of it. And you could be fully saturated on 4 bases by like 7 minutes from where you are now. And then you could be going in from 7 minutes to 9 minutes, just cranking out Roach Hydra, Roach Hydra, Roach Hydra, Roach Hydra, and you could be maxed at 9 minutes. And if we ramp this bad boy back up to 9 minutes, you're at like 115 supply, and it's just because you're not really sure what's going on. You're at 116.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just lack of knowing what's happening. And you don't have to. I don't have to make it super technical for you to be like, you need to know exact compositions. You need to know this, that. What is he teching into? Is he going to make a tech switch? You just want to know base count, really. Like his opening units for when you, if you should make spores or not, which is as simple as bio medevac, no spores. Anything that's not that, make spores. And then if you know how early he expands, you should be trying to stay on top of that so you don't match his economy. Because if you do match his economy, you will lose because of mules.
Okay. With Biomedevac, would you suggest a spine at every base then?
No, you don't need to make any static D for now against Bio. I wouldn't mind you making static D once you are already maxed. And especially if you start doing that thing where I was like talking about how you can go Broodlords later on if you can't break him with your Roach Hydra. You could make spines then. Like 2 spines per base, that would be totally fine. Because it's minimal impact on your economy. But if you make spines when you're not fully saturated on like 2 bases or 3 bases, that's going to be massive hindrances to your upkeep, like to your buildup of your economy. And it's a bit too expensive at that point, and you don't need it. All right, so you're trading with his army with Roach Hydra. This is I would say this fight for you did not go the best only because of your supply. And again, it comes down to we're backing it up right here, right before the fight happens. I do think you could be maxed right now with what's happened this game so far. You had the ability to do it, but the loss of 24 drones from his air units from the Banshees and the BC at this point is huge. It's definitely that definitely makes your max a lot later, because you actually lost a good chunk of those drones when you only had maybe like 50 drones, which is huge. It wasn't when you had like 80. It was when you like, yeah, we're talking like not even full saturation of 3 bases and 16 drones died in the main to a BC. Your whole mineral line
Yep.
died, so that's definitely massive. Um,
Okay.
it really, if that just doesn't happen, if we do the spore thing, suddenly that's like a chain reaction. Suddenly you just have more larva and more money and all this stuff to spend on creating a fourth faster, to create more roach hydra faster. Your army size, even if you're not maxed, would be still higher than it was. And when he does arrive at your base to attack you, you were at like 150 something. Or you're at 146 when he arrived. Guaranteed, if you didn't lose the drones in the main, you could easily be like 170 with the way you were playing this out, or 180, because all that. Think about all that larva you had to replace, and like think about 24 larva of drones that had to be remade into drones, and if that was larva into roach hydra, that would be 48 supply on top of what you already had.
Okay.
So you definitely
And
could have,
that's
yeah,
near max.
you definitely could have been close to max, exactly. And if you were that high, if you were at like let's just say you're at 190, okay, if you were around 190 right now, you crush this.
Okay.
But unfortunately, like it's a bit of a wash, where you didn't have enough to kill his tanks, and you retreated with the remainder of what you had, and then you really only killed his bio.
Yeah.
And then looking at your macro right now, I would say it's happening again. I'm gonna actually go back to the fight, and I'm gonna watch your camera, because you were
Okay.
actually, once the fight actually did start happening, I think there was a lack of inject. Let's see if I'm wrong, because you do have a lot of queens as well in your main that are just kind of chilling there.
Yeah, I saw that after I did the replay. I was like, oh, they're just sitting there.
Yeah.
Forgot about them.
All right, so you do have injects stacked on all your hatcheries, so you actually aren't injecting right now. You did this a while ago because I think it was from just earlier when the injects were neglected from earlier. I'm watching your queens right now, and I don't see them actually injecting. He he shows up at your base. You are staring at the fight. This is I know this is a common tendency for everyone. It's really what you want to be doing. You are still making 15 roaches during this fight though, which is nice. But then again, the injects were queued before this, and they're still queued.
Okay.
They're still queued, and this is actually a bad sign, because what this means is that is another reason why your supply is a lot lower than it is. It means that you missed a lot of injects before, and then you just stacked them all up really hard, and so I haven't seen you inject in a while now, even though the injects are continuously popping off. That just means that there's
Okay.
probably like 2 minutes earlier that didn't get injected at all, and now it's kind of just being made up for at this point, trying to catch up on them.
Okay.
This is something you can do, I would say, that'll help a lot. This would, don't take offense to this, but this is like training wheels. And eventually, you don't have to do this
Go for it.
forever, but it'll definitely help in the beginning. When you saturate your third base, okay? What I'm saying is like when you're at that point where you have 12 drones on the third, and you're like, I'm ready to take a fourth base, make a macro hatch in your main base. And what I want you to do, this is now how you're going to use it properly. It's going to be a system, a cycle you're going to do. And this is how it goes. If you ever get to a point where you're like, damn it, I'm missing injects, instead of just only going like spamming injects on your hatcheries, like your main natural third, and just being like, hopefully it works out, just be like, okay, I'm going to put one inject on my natural, one inject on my third. Let's say every queen has 100 energy, okay? And you're like, one inject on the third, one inject on the natural, and then queen in the main, you can spam injects between both hatcheries. So we're gonna throw 50 energy into the hatchery that is a macro hatch, and then 50 energy into the main hatch, and that's my like layer or hive. And then what I want you to do after that is I want you to rotate your queens from your main and your natural. Just swap them out. So queen that's now depleted goes to the natural, that is also being injected already, and queen that has 75 energy because you only injected once goes to the main. And do the exact same thing again. Next time you inject, go spam, 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 100 energy into both hatcheries in the main, so 50 energy on each one. And then one inject in the natural, one inject in the third. And then I want you to swap the main with the third. So now, again, same thing. 100 energy when they have the next inject round coming up. 100 energy goes into the main hatcheries, which is 50-50 on each. And then Queen at the third now has 1 inject again to pop 1 inject off as normal. And you can repeat this process whenever you realize you're kind of like being like, oh shit, I missed a lot of injects here, because it divides the energy invested into one hatchery now into 2 different hatcheries, and it's going to give you just so, like, if you're going Roach Hydra, just 1 macro hatch is definitely going to give you a lot more larva to max over and over with. It's definitely going to make a big difference, and then it's going to invest your energy a lot smoother, I would say, rather than, you know, it's I don't know, it's just, it'll help at mitigate missed time as much, because it's just going to give you more larva to catch up on shit with if you do miss some time.
Okay. So if after the third I miss a couple,
you can just restart the process.
Yeah. Okay.
So like if you're like, ah, damn it, I just did this and I forgot to inject for a while, and now I'm back at 100 energy. It's 1 inject on your other bases, spam inject between the 2 hatcheries in your main, swap the main with the natural. Next inject round, spam the main with the new queen that's there with a shitload of energy, and just repeat it over and over. And then if you're keeping on top of it, you don't have to swap anything at all. But it's like, we're talking like if you get to like 100 or more, you should probably do this swap thing.
Okay.
So I'm watching your camera, and you injected the third once there with your third queen, but you're not injecting the main or the natural. I think it's because you're getting really paranoid about the push here from the tanks and the bio, which is understandable. But you'd have no reason to be paranoid about it if you were macroing like a boss. You would just be like this is probably the biggest problem, which I definitely think you can fix, and the hardest thing for people to really wrap their head around, which is these problems would not exist for you in Gold League if the macro was on point, because you would actually have just A-moved it, and suddenly everything dies. Like if I'm talking, you could have maxed out by 9 minutes. Let's actually go back to 9 minutes and let's just see really quickly what was happening at 9 minutes. This is before he attacks you, by the way. So if you did max out at 9 minutes, you could have pushed across the map against a Terran who has 95 supply, and let's just say hypothetically, you scouted that he had a third. So your shift A move command was, you go over to the left of his third base, and then you shift A move his natural, the base of the ramp, and then into his main, and then you just let that happen. What would happen then if you were maxed is, I guarantee you would kill almost all, if not all, of his army. The only thing that might save him is if he has like tanks on the high ground that continuously keep shooting your hydras while you're like killing a command center or a supply depot or something like that. But if that is what kind of happened in this game, and you were maxed now and you were attacking him like right now, you would keep resetting him over and over, and you would never actually be on defense. You would have him on defense the entire time until he died, because you're not neglecting your macro and stuff. And if you look at your queens right now, you definitely have a lot of queens with a lot of energy chilling around. So the injects are definitely being missed a lot up to this point. And again, I think a lot of the reasons of this are, the distractions like, oh, Banshee's annoying. Oh my God, BC, and it's annoying, and stuff like that. So knowing how to read the opener, just blind spores at 5 minutes. If you're not sure, at 100% do that, and it'll fix so many of your problems. It'll make the game feel so much more stable. All right, we'll speed it up again back to where we were. But again, yeah, my biggest thing here that I'm just trying to get across is this is once again the story of macro, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. I know it's better than when I started, but I know it's definitely not where it needs to be.
Sure, it's all like improvement, right? And I would say, having me tell you what I think your weaknesses are right now might be a faster way to go about doing that than trying to just discover it yourself, for sure. But I think the spore thing, that alone will remedy so many of your problems.
Okay.
And also the foilings early on, because then you can use those to just literally run at his open third bases. Like, oh, he could take this base next. I'll leave a link here and see how long it takes for him to, take advantage of that.
Okay. And I guess the first attack would have also cost the third then.
No, the what? Sorry, the game was really
the first roach attack would have cost the third as well.
Yeah, exactly. If you actually scout that he's going for a really greedy third, and your roaches move out, you could actually move at the third instead of moving at his natural.
Yeah.
You should always, and the process of attacking for you, especially when you're learning StarCraft, should always be newest expansion first and then move inwards.
Okay.
The only time, if you're gonna attack, like let's say the guy has like a third and maybe a fourth base, the only time I would ever say it's important to attack inwards into his base first, like into his natural straight away, would be if you're doing timing, like an all-in, where you need to kill his production before his economy because you want to make him not be able to build units. And that's obviously not what you're going for here because you're going for macro.
Yeah.
Yeah, this just came down to he just like if Terran ever gets to a point too, like if here's the thing. If you're going Roach Hydra, okay? Roach Hydra should 100% max out way before Terran can max out. So if you ever let the Terran get equal supply with you or similar supplies to you or God forbid better supply than you are going to massively lose these fights. Zerg is not an army.
Okay.
Yeah, like Roach Hydra is not an army that trades well when you're close in supply to pretty much anything. Like Roach Hydra will lose to tanks massively, Immortals massively. All types of Terran and Protoss armies will just shit on Roach Hydra if they have more efficient units than you do, because Roach Hydra is not efficient. Roach Hydra would be Roach Hydra would be like, it would honestly be like Terran going Marine Marauder without medevacs all game. I'm not even like, it's just kind of what it's like. That's just kind of how that army composition is kind of designed. It's definitely obviously a little bit more powerful than just Marine Marauder, but the power of Roach Hydra is that you can inflate that supply so fast. So you should, like in a game like this, having a 100 supply lead over him would have been pretty standard, especially if he just throws away his like BC harass opener. That's very expensive for Terran to do that. And if he shows up into Spore Queen and it's like his BC kills 3 drones and dies, just throwing this out there, a Terran to do that, he probably sacrificed his third base by quite a bit, like the timing of it, or either that, or he sacrifices the fact that he can't have an army with it. In this game, he kind of did the sacrifice of army because he did still go for a relatively fast third, so he just didn't really have an army. He made a couple Banshees and a BC, and that was it until about 10 minutes, and then he finally attacks you. So what that means is if you see, you know, the whole like greedy ass build from the Terran, and then you also see that he goes for like a really high tech harassment as well, and he loses it. If you have that information, that tells you, okay, well, I can't get harassed at all anymore, and now I can just make drones all day, and Zerg can definitely crank out workers faster than every other race can, especially if you have queens out injecting. So yeah, it's just, I don't want to make it confusing, so just to wrap it up in a very like a little gift package here. Blind Spores, 5 minutes. Suddenly your economy is way more powerful. Try to stay +1 of the base count of Terran. That comes from Changeling Scouts or Zergling Scouts, which you do not need speed for. And then, yeah, and then just make Roach Hydra. And then you're going to just crush his armies. If you just follow that and you don't neglect your injects, you will crush the shit out of Terran with this, and Gold League especially.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's good info.
Yeah. About
Definitely would have seen that.
Yeah. About I don't want to like. If you have any questions though, please feel free to ask me. Like, so far, is there anything that you want to talk about, or anything you're not sure on?
Not really. I mean, I've just been making a list.
Okay.
Of things you said. So, like I said, for 8 years I didn't do anything really.
Sure.
I was just like, I'm not good at 1v1. I'll do arcade. And then
hey, it's not a bad call. Arcade's fun.
Yeah, and then I started looking into 1v1 and was like, oh, I suck, and just happened to come across your YouTube Bronson GM.
Sure.
So. And
the crazy thing is there's another one coming out, and then about a couple weeks. Yeah. So it's gonna get crazy.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, man.
So.
Do you have another replay? We can bounce into another one really fast if you'd like.
No, I don't. I actually was just moving around files and I lost them all. So.
Oh shit! Okay. Well, how about this? I have an idea. I'm gonna give you, just so you can have it. It'll be easy. I'm gonna invite you to my party, and I'll have you watch it, and I'll just give you an example build. Okay. So you can just refer to this. for your own future games.
Okay.
All right, and then I'll go to the same map you just played, just because, make it easy. All right. Okay. So now this game, I'm gonna do pretty much exactly what you were doing, just Bronze GM, Roach Hydra, easy peasy. I'm gonna go for that, and I will make this game no matter what. We'll just say no matter what for now, okay? Do this every game. Make blind spores at 5 minutes every time. Even if they're going bio,
I can do that.
just do it. And then once you get more comfortable with it later on, just know that if you do know it's bio, you don't need spores as much. Like it's less likely you're gonna get hit by banshees and stuff like that. But even if they are going bio, a lot of times they also mix in liberators with that, and spores are still even useful against liberators because you can rotate your spores around to zone out liberators and shit like that.
Okay.
So like right now, you can see I already stacked all of my close patches. So it's just going to increase my efficiency of my mining a little bit. That's because all I'm doing is I'm drone, overlord, drone, and in the process of between those things, saturate close patches.
I know this is around the time that I'm like, I have nothing to do.
Exactly.
I need something to do.
Yeah.
So that'll help.
It's very effective too. It doesn't take too long. All you got to do is grab a drone and spam right click a patch because if you only click it once, the AI sometimes will be like, oh well, it's not the right time to mine this. I'm gonna go mine a different patch. So if you just spam it for like 1 second and until like the drone is ready to leave, it'll then as soon as it starts mining 2 on one patch that's close, it'll stay that way forever.
Okay.
All right, and then what the hell? My sound is like broken. I can't turn my sound back on. It's like sound disabled. Sound disabled. What the hell?
So why the spawning pool there?
It doesn't matter.
I always see you put it there. Is there a reason why?
You can build it honestly wherever you want. I built it there, this game, because it's more of a thing against Zerg honestly, than it is against Terran. Against Terran, you can literally do whatever you want with it. But against Zerg, I like to put my pool closer to my hatchery because I can put a queen between the pool and hatchery, and it blocks the Zerglings. It like bottlenecks them out. So like if he's got 6lings attacking my base, 2 of them, or maybe 3 of them, start hitting the queen, and the rest just run in circles around where the back of the other lings, and it just buys me more time to react to that. Things like that. But against Terran, it doesn't matter.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so now we have 2 queens spawning. I'm gonna make 4 lings like we talked about, just to be on the safe side, in case there's a reaper. We are scouting for the natural. Let's just, I know it's an AI, and AIs are really fucking awkward. Let's just pretend, let's just pretend that we see a natural, because it's more of a standard game. If it wasn't a natural, and if you actually saw this was not a natural, and this was like a 1-base all-ending you, I would say scout further into his main, see what he's doing, and then if you think you're getting all in, maybe make a spine crawler, and then you're good to go. But I already know the computer's not going to all in me. Like it's computer. Thing's probably fucking weird. It's probably like got 2 barracks in its main base or some shit. But yeah, making a spine now.
One push.
Yeah, right. Making a spine right now would be totally fine if it got to that point. So we got a 3rd queen coming. We got our layer coming out, and we're just still droning hard. 4lings again to cover the drones. And then once we get to the point to where we start making the roach horn and we start walling off the base, which is going to be right now. At this point now, we could what's it called? Now we could send the lings out. And also, do you see the way I built this wall? Build it like this.
Yeah.
Build it like this as well, because the way you built the wall last time, there was a gap.
It sucked.
Yeah. And then now we can take our gases because we're at about 12 on the natural.
Okay.
And keep injecting. The first Evo chamber goes into weapons, and then we save for roach speed. And now we have lings at the 3rds, kind of just like that. Just do that with your lings, and suddenly now you'll know if he takes the 3rd or not.
Okay.
And then now we can start making roaches. And now that we're starting to make roaches, we can also send a drone down to our 3rd base to take our 3rd.
The 4.5 minute scout.
Yeah, right. And then keep an eye on the clock. We're gonna be making spore crawlers at 5 minutes, just because. And then yeah, we're just gonna. Sorry, I actually made a couple drones a little too fast, but I'll make up more roaches right now. But yeah, we're gonna drone our third pretty quickly, and now we're gonna be taking our or whatever it's called, our spores now. And we, again, take the third spore at the third, just like this. Even if it's not, the creep's not there yet, it's totally fine, because you can just rotate it anyways. And now this creep spreader that is at my third is going to become a injector. So now when I'm ready to now make it an injector, I'm going to make one more queen now. And the reason why I'm going to do this is because I still want to, when I take a fourth base, I can then make it an injector for my fourth base. But also, I want to kind of have like a little bit of creep tumors being active, so I can make more creep with my fourth queen until now my fourth base becomes a thing. And here's another thing too. Okay, let's just pretend. Okay, let's just pretend. You looked at his natural and you go, you know what? I don't actually want to attack that. Let's just say you said that because you're like, he's got a siege tank. I know I want a drone. Let's not attack it. I know I told everyone in Bronze GM to attack all the time, and that is totally fine if you want to do that every time. But if you see that if you know your opponent is not like harassing you with like a BC, and let's say he's sitting there defensively with his units, you don't have to attack him. You could instead.
So if he's doing your Terran Bronson GM.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to attack them. Like if you ever get attacked by error, it'd be a great idea to attack him, because then it's going to make it really awkward for him to have to deal with that. But if he's not attacking you at all and he's playing defensive, if you attack him, you're just kind of throwing units away.
Okay.
And now check this out. I have fully saturated 3 bases, and we have a 4th started. And now, at this point in time, if I go, oh, he's got a 3rd base, I could saturate my 4th. If he does not have a 3rd base, you will still saturate your 4th, but let's just pretend that we're gonna do it the way where we don't know if he has a 3rd base or not. So we go like this, okay? So saturate 4th right now if we know he has a 3rd. But if we don't know he has a 3rd, we make units until about 120 supply. Which we're almost there already. We're getting really close. So we're almost there. This queen can go. Okay, now we are there. And now we're going to make drones for the 4th base. And then you can also mouse over. What's up?
To 76, right?
We're gonna drone to 80. Just make it 80. Okay. Like 80 to 80.
Okay.
Honestly, just make it even better. Let's make 84. We're gonna drone to 84. Okay. 84 is perfect. And now we can see our main base is starting to mine out. So when your main base starts mining out, this is also a time to take another base. So when your 4th base like finishes, just start a 5th base, because you know your main base is gonna mine out soonish, and you want to be able to rotate your drones to bases without, without missing out on opportune mining.
Yeah.
And now we can grab our queen, which is in creep spreading somewhere. There it is. Become an injector queen, and now we are going to max. And we're also going to hive tech to go into 3/3 upgrades. Inject, inject, inject. Rotate my drones again to bases that are available that are not fully saturated. We can creep here, whatever. And our supply right now, remember last game, your supply at like 9 minutes and 4 seconds was 116. We're at 844, and we're about to be maxed out.
Okay.
So it's just, again, it comes down to just making sure your drones are staying alive, essentially, with the spores. And then, so we max at 855. And making sure your drones are staying alive with the spores, and then on top of that, keeping your mining going the whole time. Don't ever let your mining be undersaturated for too long. And then whenever you're, like my main base, every time 2 drones pop off, I'm constantly sending them somewhere new that's important. Like, I'm not sitting there with like 16 out of 8 on a patch, you know what I mean? Because I'm just letting it mine out repeatedly.
Okay.
I'm not really giving a fuck about what he's doing at his base. I only care about what's going on at my base.
Yeah. What's a good max time for plat gold plat
9:30.
level?
9:30.
9:30.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I would say 10 seconds get shaved off that every league you go up, like whole league.
Okay.
So if you're plat, probably 9:30. If you're diamond, probably like 9:20. If you're masters, probably 9:10. If you're GM, 9 minutes or below.
Okay.
And if you're a pro gamer, you could max out even faster. But pros are fucking insane.
If I'm a pro gamer, I won't be doing this build.
Exactly. And then yeah, and then all you do right now is like we just keep as we're attacking and doing this stuff, we just keep looking at our base, going, okay, well we need to inject, we need to make sure now our natural's mining out, so now we can keep sending drones to the new base. Upgrades are going well. We can start Aspire at this point. All this stuff, and then we since the naturals, or sorry, since the natural's also mining out, we could even take another base somewhere else.
Okay.
And then keep the mining going that way. Because now if you know your natural's mining out, it means your third is not going to be too far behind that. Probably a few minutes and your third's going to start mining out. But it also is going to give drones some of your natural now places to go and things like that. And then you're also going to get a point now where your gases, like if you once your mineral lines mine out, your gases also start mining out maybe a couple minutes after that. So when your gas drones start having nothing to do, you definitely don't want to have like no extra bases to send stuff to. Basically, my point is it's better to have more available bases to now send your workers to than to not have enough available bases to then have to oversaturate current bases.
Okay.
Because more available bases also equals more macro hatches, more larvae. And yeah, that's pretty much it on that example build.
Awesome.
I would say make sure you save it so you don't so it doesn't get lost.
Yeah.
And then what I would recommend you do is, and if you play your own game and you go, okay, ViBE said some shit and it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense at the same time because I'm getting destroyed when I'm trying to do it every time. What's going wrong? You can just use that as like go to your own build and look at your timers of exactly what's going on, being like, okay. Well at 7 minutes, I'm at 110 supply. Or like maybe I'm at 80 supply or whatever, and ViBE's like 30 supply ahead of me. Why is this happening? And then it could be things like, you know, the drone count, the gas timings, the spore timings. Maybe they're getting thrown off. Your roach wall timing is getting thrown off. Things like this could make a difference. And then you always have that example to look at it again. It's just like a refresher for your brain to be like, okay, well he's actually doing it this way. And one thing I also recommend too. This is the last thing I'll say for recommendations that makes this really easy to follow along with. If you go back into that replay we just made for you, every single minute so we're talking 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, like exactly at the minute, pause it and write down, like you can write it like a notepad or something, write down my total supply, and then next to that write down my total worker count currently, and then at the next minute do the same thing again. And then do it and then if you ever have a game where you don't know what the hell's happening, do the exact same thing to your own game. And then when you get up to 9 minutes, that's when I'll be maxed. And you might realize at minutes 1, 2, 3, we're identical. And at minute 4, you fell behind by like 7 drones for some reason. At minute 5, now you're behind by 12 drones. At minute 6, now you're behind by 20 drones. At minute 7, you're catching up in drones now, but you're behind by 40 supply. And then that really magnifies that part of the game where you're having a problem. So it really is like zones in on where you can fix things.
Would you suggest doing that after every game or just
not every? I would say practice it for a while first. Like just try to do it. Try to just execute it as fast as you can. But if you start struggling, definitely do it then on a game where you're just like confused. Because the example for me will never change because it's just the replay, but the examples for you will constantly change. So if you feel like you've like hit a new threshold where you're like, wow, I'm better, but now I'm struggling again, you can do it again on your new quote unquote skill level of a replay. Do it then and compare your new level of play to with what I did, and then keep trying to just match it as best you can.
Okay.
Hey man.
Sounds good.
Yo.
Thank you.
Thank you, dude. And I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing on the stream.
Yeah, thank you, dude.
I like it.
And also, happy Thanksgiving, and
you too.
have a great rest of your day, dude.
You too. Thank you.
All right, later, man.
See ya.
All right, guys, and that will conclude the end of our coaching lesson. Not bad, pretty good. Nice overall, solid fundamental style coaching lesson again. Good shit. Good shit. What strong Zerg timing attacks would you recommend to learn in every matchup? Or hold on, I gotta not read this question. I gotta end my YouTube video here really fast. So guys, sorry, that was a bit of a, I got distracted right there. Good coaching lesson. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys who are watching it on YouTube, if you guys liked it, I do stream all the time. Pretty much 6 or 7 days a week. We're talking. I'm not kidding when I say all the time. I do have a lot more of these already uploaded, so if you guys want to check out more, just go to my coaching sections of my YouTube. You can literally just type in ViBE coaching and you'll find a ton of them. Or you'd have to specify a little more. ViBE coaching StarCraft 2. But check out more if you're interested. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay awesome. Peace, everybody. Goodbye. Avidazane. Ciao. Aloha. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.